Swimming has got to be top 3 most miserable sports of all time. You cannot tell me that there is another sport which requires the same amounts of physical exertion or is in worse conditions. I finished the high school swim season and it was just brutal. First of all, it's a winter sport, which means the most miserable sport takes place in the most bleak time of year. But, what about Christmas? How can you be sad if it's Christmas time and you're on Christmas break? Well, of course, you're still going to have to practice because you're only like halfway through the swim season at that point. But these practices during Christmas break are not normal practices. You need to get up at approximately 5:40 a.m., still pitch black and like 20 degrees, mind you, so that you can be in freezing cold water at 6 o'clock sharp. By the way, if you're in the water late, if you come late to practice, you have to do like 100 push-ups. These practices during Christmas break are no shorter than 2.5 hours. And on top of that, there's lifting weights 3 times a week after practice. This is 2.5 hours of swimming back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth, and then back and forth again. Now, you might be thinking, well, all sports that you are going to do have hard practices. You have to work hard if you want to be good. In fact, this sounds a lot like track because you're just running the whole time, kind of like you're swimming the whole time. Do not compare swimming to track. So I mean no disrespect towards track runners. You guys are great. But in swimming, not only do you have to do an exercise that basically works every muscle in your body, which is exhausting, you have to hold your breath most of the time. Taking breath in most strokes slows you down. Not only that, but the air quality that you are forced to breathe is just garbage most of the time at an indoor pool. The air is thick with chlorine and other questionable things that you could find in these pools. But going back to Christmas break, I want you to imagine being in your bed, snug as a bug in a rug, and then your alarm goes off. And then you know that in 20 minutes, you will be in cold water doing the most exhausting sport for a nice 2.5 hours. And then some lifting weights immediately afterwards. Believe it or not, my team was actually lucky because most teams run doubles when there's no school. So 2 practices a day, 6 days a week for 2 weeks straight. So yeah, swimming pretty much just sucked some of the joy right out of Christmas. Kind of like the Grinch, if you think about it. At least you get to see your friends, right? Yeah, for like 5 minutes in the locker room maybe, but then it's in the water, and from that point on, you are either under the water, which means nothing is being said to anyone, or you're on the wall and you're too out of breath to convey any ideas. Now, of course, I should say there are benefits to swimming. First of all, after a month or so of hard practices, you are in peak shape. And you've also probably been sleeping well. There are also the swim meets, which is when you do actually get to talk and have fun with your friends. And the occasional pasta party, which some of you might know what that is. The thing is, all of the benefits you get from swimming, you can pretty much get from any other sport. So it's like all the benefits, except none of the misery of swimming. But the next thing I need to talk about is the actual competing and racing of swimming. It is pretty similar to track here, but that's besides the point. Imagine you have been training for the last 2.5 months, and now you're on the blocks about to start your 50 free. You know the time you want to go, and this is your last chance to get it and qualify for sectionals or for state. The starter says, take your mark. Beep! And you're in the water. You're sprinting as fast as you can. You feel good as you approach the wall. You start your flip turn, but a split second too early. You touch the wall with like 3 of your toes on each foot, and then you barely push off, which means you just lost all of your momentum, and basically you're cooked. Yeah, you can say goodbye to state. And you know that the last few months of training have just come to nothing. This actually happens more often than you would think. The difference in other sports is when you mess up something that's like a split-second decision, like a flip turn, chances are you just miss a point, or like you lose a point, which usually there are several of in whatever sport you might be thinking about. But in swimming, something like that could cost you up to like a second of time, which can make or break a 50 or a 100 easily. Don't even get me started on back-to-back races. There are usually only 2 or 3 heats for each event, and a lot of the time you have 2 events back-to-back, which means you just swam your heart out in your relay, but you have like 5 minutes to catch your breath before you're on the blocks again for your 100th fly. And when this happens, you basically know the ladder event, it will just not be as fast as it could be. And there was a meet where I had 4 out of the last 5 events. So almost just 4 events in a row, you know? Like, what are we doing? And on the topic of relays, now I will say these can either be the most hype events of all time or just the most tragic ones. There is really nothing like swimming the first or second leg of a relay and then getting to watch your teammates fight for first place. Now, if the fastest 2 or 3 teams are evenly matched, watching a relay can just be absolute cinema. But there are also the times when you yourself are anchoring the relay. You see your relay's third leg pause in second place, maybe a couple tenths of a second behind first place, both coming into the wall, and you know you have to clutch up for your relay. I know personally, and many others, like me myself and many other people, can just swim lights out in these situations and go some of the fastest times ever. There are also the relays when you get some bum swimming with you, and they either swim the first half and just fall behind to the point of no return, so your relay's just kind of cooked already before it's even done. Or, you know, the first few swimmers have just been swimming their heart out, swimming as fast as they can, only for this bum to just absolutely sell the lead that everyone else has been trying to get. They just sell, and then you lose. And there's nothing you can do about it. And sometimes you just know that you are that bum. You are the bum in this situation. It's like if a faster swimmer is sick or something, or they're gone, and you have to fill in, it's like... yeah, it's pretty terrible to know that you're kind of letting your team down. Even if you're swimming as fast as you can, like, you're just not at that league at that point, and you're kind of just cooked. So if brutal practices every day and just everything I just said sounds fun to you, then you should definitely try swimming. But in general, I would probably just stick to volleyball or something. But yeah, as for Black Panther, I got the fancy kill icon, which is pretty cool, you know? Part 2 where I actually get the Lord icon coming soon.
Lesson learned. Let's try something different.
Well, you expected them all.